Hello guys and welcome back. In this lesson we're going to study the control flow in Go language. Now control flow is not only about conditionals or if-else statement, but also loops. Control flow, in its broader term of course, is a way of deciding which blocks of code to execute based on logical conditions or user input. And this is crucial for building dynamic programs that can adapt to varying scenarios. So the most common control flow tools in Go and in any other programming language really are conditionals. So we have if and if-else and loops, and also switch statements which behave exactly the same as conditionals. So first of all, in chapter 7, we will have the if-else statement or the conditionals. So the if statement executes a block of code if the condition is true. For example, if it's raining today, don't go to work. So that's a condition, and based on that condition, the consequence or the result. So let me show you how to do that in code. Let's have a variable, age. Age is equal to 18. Now we can check out if the age is equal to or more than 18, you can vote. You're eligible to vote. We'll use if age is more than or equal to 18. We will print out you are eligible to vote. So if that condition is true, we will print you're eligible to vote. So let's run that program. And we have here the printing statement, you are eligible to vote. So let's change that to 19, for example. We have the condition if age is equal to or more than 18. So that's going to run the same thing because that condition is true. Age is more than 18. Now, if we'll do 17, for example, we will have absolutely nothing. And here comes the usefulness of else. So we'll have if else. The else basically provides an alternative block of code if that condition is false. So in that case, I want to add else here, and I want to print something that you're not eligible to vote. Now we have you are not eligible to vote printed. Again, let's do 18, and that's going to change based on the input. You are eligible to vote. Right, now let's check out the nested if statement. So you can have nested if statement. What does mean nested if statement? You will have different if-else statement in one code block. So let me just comment those lines out. Now let's say that we have a score. That score is equal to 82, for example. Right. I want to check out if the score is greater than or equal to 90. In this case, I want to print out grade A, for instance. So if the score is greater than or equal to 90, I will print grade A. Now I will have different condition in the same code block. I want to say if, but that's not quite right. It should be preceded by else. So else if, it's exactly the same in Python elif, and else if in any other programming language, you'll find else if. Else if the score is greater than or equal to 80, I want to put another condition. I want to check out in that code block if score is greater than or equal to 85. Let's make 85, right? In that case, I want to print out grade B+. And for any other conditions, so the else here is only for that code block, not for that code block if score is greater than or equal to 80, but rather for if score is greater than or equal to 85. In that case, I want to print out grade B in case that the score is greater than or equal to 85. And for any other case, I want to print grade C, right? So we have here greater than or equal to 90, that's grade A. Then we're checking out else if score is greater than or equal to 80, but that's not all because we need to differentiate between what's greater than or equal to 85 and any other case. So if it's greater than 85 or equal to 85, that's grade B+. And if it's less, so it's between 80 and 85, or 84 rather, that's going to be grade B. And for any other cases, that's going to be grade C. right? So this is what I meant by nested statements. And let's actually run that file. So here is grade B because we have a score of 82. And we said that between 80 and 84, that's going to be grade B. If we will change that to 86, that's going to be B+. If we will change that to 50, that's going to be C. And if we will change that to 95, that's going to be grade A. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Control Flow Loops. So we're going to dive in a little bit into how loops function in Go programming language. We're going to use some practical examples to illustrate different types of loops and loop control statements. This is going to include the for loop. So let me just write that. We'll have the for loop. We will have nested loops as well. So nested loops, nested loop control. Also, we'll have loop control statements like break, continue, and go to. And if you're a retro programmer like me, you might have encountered the go to statement in BASIC or VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. So we'll have here loop control statements like we have break, right? We have continue, and we have go to. Right, so those are the loop control statements that we have. All right, first of all, let's start by the for loop. The for loop in Go is very versatile. It allows you to execute a sequence of statements multiple times. Let me show you. Let's try to count to 10, for example. That's a very basic example, but it's going to show you at least the syntax, even if you know that in JavaScript or Python or Rust. We're going to see that in Go. All right, so let's first have the main package and let's import the format, and let's have the func or the func main. Forgot actually to write that. Right, so to use the for loop here, you would say for I is equal to 10. If I is less than 10, we're going to increment I by 1. So again, for I is equal to 10, so you are actually defining a variable called I and assigning it a value of 0. So that's the initial point. For I is equal to 10, unless I is less than 10, I want to increment I by 1. So I++ means I equal to I plus 1. You're incrementing I by 1. And in each iteration, this is called an iteration. So for each iteration, I want to print the iterator. The iterator here is I. And in that case, you're going to print the numbers from 0 to 9 because you start by 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 times the I has iterated from 0 to 9. Not from 0 to 10, right? From 0 to 9. Let's check out if we will run our program. There you go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 9. Right? If you want from 0 to 10, you're going to have here 11. Right? Because in programming, that's zero-based concept. You start by 0. The second form of a loop that I want to show you is the nested loops. So the nested loops involve a loop inside another loop. That's often used for multidimensional data structures. So it might look complicated at first, but believe me, it's not. If you will destructure each loop and you will understand its logic, that's going to be very easy to put back the picture together. So let's take, as I told you, the multiplication table here. So again, you're going to start with a condition. For I is equal to 1, while I is less than or equal to 10, I want to increment I by 1. But that's not all. We'll have a second for loop. For j is equal to 1, while j is less than or equal to 10, I want to increment j by 1. In that case, I want to have the I, the first iterator, the j, which is the second iterator, and then the I multiplied by j just to display the result. So the result here would be you're going to multiply each number by itself 10 times. So 1 by 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, and so on. 2 by 1, 2 by 2, 2 by 3, and so on. From 1 to 10. That's why we have started by 1. Let's take a look. And there we go. It looks insane. Let's just make like that and just minimize a little bit. So you will have here the multiplication table of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That has shifted here because of the zeros. So yeah, we have actually printed the multiplication tables of 1 till 10, which is awesome. And you did that actually by 3 code lines. You can actually change that. You can make it 5. And here also we're going to make it 5. So let's try that out. And you have here, indeed, that's more viewable, the multiplication tables from 1 to 5, which is awesome. Next, let's check out the loop control statements. So let me just make like that. And, oops, let's make like this. All right, so we have here the loop control statements. So these statements here modify the execution flow of loops in Go. First of all, we have the break statement. The break statement has one purpose only, to stop the loop after a certain condition. We have a for loop for I equal to 0. While I is less than 10, I want to increment the I by 1. And if I is equal to 5, break outside of the loop. So for each iteration, you're going to print out that iterator, that number. And it's going to exit the loop after reaching more than 5 iterations. So let's check that out. It has iterated over numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are 5 iterations. Now, the opposite of the break statement is the continue statement. So if the break statement just stops whenever a condition is met, the continue statement is going to, skip a certain condition. So if a certain condition is met, we're not going to exit the loop, but continue. So let's say, for instance, that for I is equal to 0, while I is less than 10, I want to increment the I by 1. Now, I'm going to check out for a certain condition. If I modulus 2 is equal to 0, which means that's an even number. In case of an even number, I want to continue. I will not print that number. So I will end up by printing only odd numbers. And that's the usefulness of the continue control statement. The continue control statement actually is going to continue whenever a certain condition is met. And that's what I meant when I told you that's exactly the opposite of the break statement. So let's check out together how this code is going to behave. Let's run our main program. So you can see clearly that the program has totally ignored any number divisible by 2. It's just printed 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And finally, we have the goto. So again, we're going to start by the initialization for I is equal to 0, the condition while I is less than 10, and the increment, I incremented by 1. And after each iteration, the program is going to run this condition. If I is equal to 5, go to end. And the end here is printing statement loop ended, right? So it has printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and loop ended because the condition here was met. The condition is if I is equal to 5, go to end. What's the end? The end is to print loop ended. I is equal to 0. Next, I want to say that if I is less than 10, I want to print ln that iterator. Then I want to increment the iterator. Now I want to have a label. The label here, I'm going to say loop like that. So that's going to be a label. And I will say just go to loop. So let's check that out. And effectively, we have printed numbers from 0 to 9 because after each iteration, we went to loop. Just to be clear, let's call it start, right? We're going to jump to the start. So after each iteration, go to start, right? That's going to do exactly the same thing. The last thing that I want to show you is the infinite loop. That's nothing impressive, really. Infinite loop. So simply the infinite loop in Go is that simple. For, and that's it. And that's going to print infinite loop forever. What you would do actually in something like basic language, something like this. Print this is an infinite loop, then 20, go to 10. So after each iteration, we didn't have the for. That's going actually to do the same. And I'm not really sure if I'm tried this now, that's going to do the same thing or not, but yeah, let's try that out. Let's try the simple infinite loop, and then we'll try the old basic way. Maybe it will work, who knows? Right, so of course, that's going to block everything. Interrupt that loop by hitting Control C. So that's the infinite loop. You know how to do it. Basic way. We're going to do format.println, and maybe that's the start. Maybe you can do here the label start, right? Go to start. Let's try that out. Maybe it will work. Who knows? Yeah, it works just fine. It works exactly like in basic language. So that's everything that I have for you guys. These examples should give you a clear picture of how loop works in Go. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.